welcome to the Real CP Show. I'm your host, CP. And today's topic, this Jamaican man became an officer, but then he became an illegal immigrant afterwards because he was trying to be sneaky and trying to play dumb. Look at the image in front of you and you see what the word says. I have been so used to sliding under the black banner, as many numbers of black adjacent hodders and tethers do every day, when it's convenient, as many do. But then I use I am Jamaican when that is convenient. So I've played both sides of that coin, giggle. Wait now, I want to use I am black to try to save me from being deported. See, there are personnel just like this. Not him personally, don't care a tell about him. But there are people who have this thought pattern that they can flee in some kind of way to America and utilize a generic black banner. And then once have the nerve to try to talk crazy about black Americans who already sit there and built the country up already before many of them even existed in America. And relating this topic, this Jamaican man, right, couldn't sit there and do what he had to do in Jamaica. So he had to flee. Now, it's one thing, again, to come over some opportunities. And again, can't say this enough, stay humble. But there are some numbers within Jamaicanism, one it applies to, that have a hatred toward American blacks. The one it applies to. It's like the thing where you have certain numbers of Jamaicans talking about how they started hip hop. Or how you have certain types of Anglo Puerto Ricans, and the list goes on. You can have some ones in certain parts of Africa that has the freaking nerve after how many fled to America saying that they has some hip hopness or tendency of hip hop started in Africa. I mean, you don't go with that. So the hatred is very real toward American blacks. People trying to copy and then try to redirect it down to sit there and say they did this and did that, but they fled. But black Americans don't flee and be trying to copy other people's music and cultures and backgrounds, right? So in this situation, let me go ahead and share my screen. Hold on, let me get this. Let me get these comments off. Let me get these that off first. Okay, here we go. So now let me share my screen on this. All right. Today is August the 9th, 2025. So this article, July 28, 2025. ICE arrests illegal alien or an illegal Jamaican illegal alien serving as a local officer after attempting to unlawfully purchase a firearm in Maine. A Jamaican national attempted to illegally purchase firearm for his employment as a local police officer, right? And actually it was a reserve officer in that situation. But I'll get to that in just a little bit. Biddeford, Maine, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement officers in Maine arrested an he became illegal, shall we say, illegal immigrant present Jamaican offender after he unlawfully attempted to purchase a firearm. Officers with ICE enforcement and removal operations Boston in partnership with the such and such place, such and such. They arrested John Luke Evans, July 25th, 2025 in Biddeford. At the time of his arrest, Evans was employed as a reserve police officer with this particular department. John Luke Evans not only broke U.S. immigration laws, but he also legally attempted to purchase a boom boom piece of equipment. Shockingly, Evans was employed as a local law enforcement officer, said ICE ERO, Boston, such person. The fact that a police department would hire an illegal alien and unlawfully issue him a boom boom piece of equipment while on duty would be comical if it weren't so tragic. We have a police department that was knowingly breaking the very law that they are charged with enforcing in order to employ an illegal immigrant. ICE Boston will continue to prioritize public safety by arresting and removing criminal alien threats from our New England communities. Evans admitted to ICE officers that he attempted to purchase the boom boom piece of equipment for his employment as a local police officer with this particular department. His attempt to purchase the firearm triggered an alert to these particular people who worked in coordination with ICE to make the arrest. Evans lawfully entered the United States September 24, 2023 at the Miami International Airport in Florida. However, he violated the terms of his lawful admission when he overstayed his visa. Evans was scheduled to depart the U.S. October 1st, 2023, but never boarded the flight. This is the different. I was going to do another show on this, but I'm not now. I'm just going to read this. See, here we go again. In a very similar case in April, ICE officers in Fairmount arrested Gradient Miladu Wamba, an illegal present 32-year-old citizen of Congo, a fleer who was working as a corrections officer. Officers with an ICE Boston Scottsboro, Maine sub-office arrested Malandu, the fleer from Congo, Wamba, for immigration violations after he allegedly attempt to purchase a firearm. Do you see some similarities in this, right? The insultingness of this. But how many sit there are just like similar to these, this fleer right here that came from Jamaica? Or the one from Congo, the one that supplies to. We're not talking about the good numbers of Jamaicans. We're not talking about the good numbers of Congolese. So we're not going to play that little game. So person that can go to Haiti's, the ones that try to play little tactics. See, American blacks can't go fleeing to Jamaica and say, oh my goodness, there's so much hatred going on toward Black Americans for centuries. Jamaica's a beautiful place, beautiful island, and cost of living is low. American blacks is going to start fleeing over there. The numbers of Jamaican personnel, the ones suppliers, they'll be like, no, you're not. Because how many already are getting infiltrated with various types of certain Asian background personnel? How many numbers of Indians from India? How many numbers of Chinese from China? I'm going to show some a little bit, right? However, parts of the airport was invested heavily by however numbers of Asians. Not paying Caribbean love, not paying African love. Huh? I don't want to talk about that. But people don't call black people lazy, right? After Americans have built the dang country up in America over centuries. Okay. So let me go ahead and share my screen again with this particular video. This video. Give me a second here. How am I doing? Let me share my screen. Give me a second here. Give me one moment here. Oh, who's this? Hold on. There we go. All right.
A local police department in Maine is being put on blast by Immigration and Customs Enforcement, accusing it of hiring an undocumented immigrant as a reserve officer.
ICE became aware of the Jamaican national after he allegedly tried to illegally purchase a gun. Now the town is firing back. NBC 10 immigration reporter Oscar Margain joining us live from Old Orchard Beach in Maine. Oscar?
Hey, JC, and ICE is saying that Old Orchard Beach police were the ones who basically knowingly broke the law in the hiring of this reserve officer who ICE says overstayed his visa. Now, the department said that they were only following the law and that it was actually ICE's parent agency, Homeland Security, the ones who approved the work permit in the first place. It's not the type of headline Margaret Jones expected to come out of her town of Old Orchard Beach.
To have this kind of incident come to my town is extremely upsetting and scary.
Her
Luke
town.
Evans, a reserve police officer from Jamaica, was
Boy,
detained.
entitlement.
Luke Evans, a reserve police officer from Jamaica, was detained by immigration agents. Luke Evans, a reserve police officer from Jamaica, was detained by immigration agents on Luke Evans,
And scary.
Luke Evans, a reserve police officer from Jamaica, was detained by immigration agents on Friday in the next town over. Evans was flanked by the ATF after allegedly trying to purchase a gun.
So, they thought they was one of them, right? See, on the outside, it may be kind of hard to see that, if he's Black American. We're not going to play a little game of, well, somebody can great-great-grandmother, great-grandfather. No, we ain't going to play that. Black American lineage base, it ain't that freaking complex, right? One of the parents either parents collectively goes back at least to the 1800s, at least on that. They have the Black American parent, Black American mother, father, however it goes, but the lineage base goes back, or grandparent, however something goes back, personnel goes back to at least the 1800s. It ain't that complex, right? See, other people ain't gonna play this little game. Like this situation going on where we call parentheses Native Americans. How many sit there and enslave Black Americans, and they had have some Native Black in there? We don't go into all that because how numbers of Black personnel, especially in the early 1900s, were reclassified. So however numbers were Native Blacks, and it reclassified within the Black situation. But regardless, Black Americans became their own uniqueness regardless. So the whole point is, you look at him, you like, you really can't tell, right? See, that's the point on that. See, ones that look, sometimes don't have an accent. Many times they do, sometimes they don't, right? On that. So they can slide by underneath there. You really can't tell. But the minute you start talking to them enough, they'll sit there and reveal themselves. They'll show that they're not Black Americans, right? By the way they talk, eventually.
Gun for his job, which the town says is not allowed by reserve officers. That's when ICE found out he had overstayed his visa in late 2023. The acting ICE director for Boston said in part, the fact that a police department would hire an illegal alien and unlawfully issue him a firearm while on duty would be comical if it weren't so tragic. The town's police chief pushed back, saying Evans was hired after he completed his I-9 work authorization, which was submitted to ICE's parent agency, Homeland Security.
Regardless, watch the words. Submitted the I-9 documentation. That means he still wasn't even a citizen, regardless. So you have people who know they are now, they're hiring non-American citizens. I'm not talking about somebody just popped over here a couple of generations ago, and because of what Black folks have had to go through, Black pain, right? And other people have benefited off that, and how many became naturalized citizens do off of Black pain, with very few exceptions, right? And they got on however certain enforcement place. Now, we're not going to go on all that. But we're talking about personnel that just arrived over here in half a second in America's history, right? Can be border breaking, right? Regurgitate the same damn thing, trying to seek asylum of a certain way, with very few exceptions that are legitimate. So we're talking about the ones that just regurgitate the same damn thing, right? And they get that work permit, and you talking about they can go apply to a law enforcement place? Huh? But Black Americans better not try to go across that border, better not try to go to Jamaica, better not try to go to certain parts of Africa, saying, hey, that personnel had some law enforcement experience, so much racism and hatred toward American Blacks. They're going to take their enforcement experience, take it to Jamaica or certain parts of Africa. You get the point, right? And they apply for a job over there. They be like, you're not a damn citizen. They be like, so what? We're Black, right? They're like, no. You see how people think Black Americans are stupid to not see these little games?
The work permit was approved by DHS on May 12th, she said, with
very few exceptions that they know American Blacks, with very few exceptions, know the game.
Expiration date of March 2030. May 12th, she said. Agency Homeland Security I-9 work authorization. I-9 work authorization. comical if it weren't so tragic. The town's police chief pushed back, saying Evans was hired after he completed his I-9 work authorization, which was submitted to ICE's parent agency, Homeland Security. The work permit was approved by DHS on May 12, she said, with an expiration date of March 2030. The chief went on to say, our department and our community relied on the Department of Homeland Security's E-Verify program to ensure we were meeting our obligations.
Oh, it's certainly out of proportion, out of line.
Resident and visitors we spoke with feel like the police department is being bullied.
It's going to make Old Orchard Beach look bad.
Old Orchard Beach, with a population of 9,000, often sees an influx of up to 75,000 tourists this time of year. Evans was sworn in June as a temporary seasonal hire. The PD usually makes these hires ahead of the busy summer season. The state of Maine is one of a dozen that allows non-citizen residents to work in law enforcement.
See, there's all type of variables and pointing fingers, and I'm not going to all that. The point is, one man was talking about, well, he's authorized to work 2030. Then I saw some else saying he was not. So I'm not going to go on all that. The point is, he ain't a citizen. So he wasn't even supposed to be even thinking about trying to purchase no firearm himself, regardless. Right? I'm saying what some other stuff was relaying over. Right? Regardless. But then he overstayed his visa. Right? Sometimes stuff happens wherever it is. But when you knowing that you did that, and then you're trying to get into this law enforcement, and then you're sitting there trying to get some kind of firearm, what? And you became our illegal immigrant? What kind of huh? And they know Black Americans ain't gonna, man, please. They know they ain't gonna happen at all. Black American people trying to play that little tactic in another country, right? So I'm telling you, relaying over, Black Americans about to start even more getting on point. See, the only reason why certain things are happening a little bit more, because, oh my goodness, Trump. Oh my goodness, Trump. But the previous 4 years, what? You think there's no border break or illegal immigrants going crazy? They were. Record-breaking numbers in the last 4 years. Huh? What? You think, sir, there was some kind of pan Black love from various parts of Africa, Jamaican love for Black Americans? I don't think so. We're not talking about few exceptions, right? Now all of a sudden, Trump is in office second time. Oh my goodness, look what he's doing. Oh, just wait. What's going to be the excuse when, say, Trump is finished up, and then however they select however other personnel they want to put in office? Then what's going to happen then? What's going to be the excuse then when people reinstitute however immigration is, and then open the doors up a little bit more? Then what's going to be the excuse then, right? Huh? And people are going to show even more their truth, and they're going to show, no, they're only Black, again, when it's convenient for them, right? It's an insult. Yes, it's an insult, because they're slapping the face out of millions of American Blacks, sitting there playing they're Black when they want to be Black. But when the heat comes up, and it's, with Black pain every day, they're like, no, I'm from over here. I'm from over here, right? Let me sit there and share my screen far forget on this situation, right? Oh, Black people are lazy. Black people talking about racism, black. But they ass has fled from other countries and certain other beautiful islands, and there's no pan-Caribbean love, by the way. Look what's going on in Cuba. Where is these various Caribbean beautiful islands jumping up and down trying to help out Cuba? Hello? See how that goes, right? Give me a second. Here we go. But let them try to explain this, right? Watch this. Give me a second. Hold on. Hold on. Whoa. Here we go. I'll make sure.
I am in Salem. What I found out is that all these small convenience stores are pretty much ran by Chinese. They don't really like me recording them, so I'm gonna be real discreet about my content.
Mm-hmm. The black people are lazy. Mm. And you got however number of Chinese people, once applies to infiltrating, taking over various parts of Jamaica even more. Mm-hmm.
A lot of the Jamaican people, they have to sell their fruits and vegetables and products, whatever it is they selling. They got to sell their stuff on the street. And most of the storefronts are just owned by the Chinese and Indians.
Mm-hmm. Mm. 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 What's that excuse?
I say this calls for action, and now nip it in the bud.
What's that, the great deputy Bonnie Fife, where you got these black adjacent hodders and tethers that have the nerve to keep trying to talk about black Americans and stuff like that, but they keep trying to put themselves in certain positions in law enforcement and stuff like that, and they owe no allegiance at all themselves to America regardless. They're only trying to use certain situations in America, and they certainly don't give a damn about black Americans, but they want to sit there and play they're black when they want to be black, right?
I say this calls for action, and now nip it in the bud.
Yes, yes, yes. So I'm telling you, it is an insult, the game that is continuously played upon black Americans by black adjacent hodders and tethers and etc. Right? This is getting out of hand on this situation, right? I thank you for tuning in to the Real CP Show.